Meeting to order, April 18, 2017. Tom, you want to give us a reference?
Pray with me, please. Dear God, we thank you for the city of St. John. We don't always know what may come up in these meetings, although we have an agenda each time. So we ask that you would give wisdom to those in attendance this evening to hear and respond with your direction. We ask for you to help us decide what is best for our community. Keep our hearts safe during this time as we seek to help the community of St. John move forward in becoming a better, safer place to live and work and worship. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council, first of the week I received a notice, immediate resignation of the council member Corey Davis. So we need to accept his resignation.
Move to accept.
You got a motion? Need a second? Sherry seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. And with that being said, we've got an appointment of a new council member with the council's approval, which is my appointment, and I had a hard time finding somebody to take my place the last time. Well, I got a young man that said he would do it. His name's Aaron Roach, and with the council's approval, I would like to appoint him this evening.
I think, Aaron, nothing against you. Glad you came back to St. John, you're raising family, and glad that you're excited about moving in a position like this, but I think it's a conflict of interest for you to be on. It's just my opinion.
Why is that? I mean, just with Jeff,
Well,
or
your
just with Sherry,
mother-in-law
or what is?
and Jeff being on. Jeff being superintendent.
Okay, but wouldn't it only really matter? I mean, if you're voting for something regarding Jeff.
One of the things that has come in the past here is that council has been viewed in a negative light. When we've appointed, the last appointment that the mayor had done was Kevin Davis. Beforehand, Kevin had left council under less than spectacular events. When he was reappointed, I don't know about the rest of council, I can't speak for them, but I can speak. I had a number of people coming up to me and saying that wasn't right. There was a lot of things that had happened, and they didn't like that. We're trying to change the perception of council. We've done that to a certain extent. However, we have slid back a few times, but we're moving forward. In my opinion, appointing someone who is related to someone on council falls underneath that.
Okay.
And nothing against you. I don't know you. I'm assuming that you're a good person. You've come back to St. John, and we appreciate new families coming back to St. John. We want you to be good here. We want you to be happy here and to make a good living. Having said that, I still feel that it is a conflict of interest when we're trying to change the makeup of council.
Right. I can see where how you guys are. I mean, think that, and how everybody else might view that. So, I mean,
And we
I
have
just
to
figured,
take.
if I
We
had
do
the
have to
opportunity,
take.
that I would at least try. So.
Well, we do have to take it. I take in a lot of people's consideration when they complain to me about these type of things. I work for them. We all work for them. They're the ones that voted us in.
Right. No problem with that.
Okay. I agree with Ryan. I think it is a conflict of interest. I can't speak for anyone else. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it does, fall within the conflict of interest. I do think it would be different, Aaron, if you ran this November.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Given, even if Sherry's on here and Jeff's still here, and the citizens vote you in, then that means they're okay with it.
Right.
I feel that way. It's fine. I think you would be great on the council, and I would like to see younger people on the council.
Absolutely.
But I do think there is a little bit of a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
When it does come time to having to vote on something pertaining to Jeff, it's going to be, if you were on, it's going to be the three of us
Right.
making the decision. And sometimes just three people isn't the best way to make some of the decisions.
I agree.
I don't want to limit us to our decision making based off of what 3 people want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. You know, it may turn into one of them things that we may not ever find anybody. I don't know.
Right.
Um,
Right now, at the moment, it's not imperative that we replace Kevin, but I do feel that sometime we do need to get back to 100% council. I agree with Marshall. I also agree with Ryan on this. So,
I mean, I knew coming in here that this was gonna be an issue. So I mean, but
Yeah, nothing.
I'd like to get
No, I have
what
nothing-
it needs to be
nothing
eventually.
against
So.
Yeah.
Under different circumstances,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like I said, if you run come November for an open seat and the people vote you in, I'll welcome you in here. Just like I said, I think you'd be good. I really do.
Well, appreciate it.
You guys want my 2 cents?
yes.
I mean, I'll just say it's not unprecedented.
Right.
I understand your point of views. It's kind of hard to escape that stuff in a small community, and it happens in every small community. My only concern is if we decide who is president. Is it?
Sherry's the president of council.
So we don't have to replace it.
You don't have to replace the president of council.
I mean, like I said, it may be one of the things we may not find anybody, and we, in a month or 2 months, if we decide we need to replace somebody, we can always look at it again, even with him.
My suggestion is just, if that's the way council's going to go, don't vote. Just allow the mayor to withdraw his motion or his request.
I'll withdraw my appointment for the council. Additions to the agenda. City Superintendent sealed bid.
But yeah, you got to get the approval first of the
So
agenda.
approved to open this sealed bid for.
Not yet. That's under city superintendent.
We're just approving
We're
the
just
addition.
approving the agenda.
Consent agenda approved Doris Tompkins cereal malt beverage license for the annual Jubilee Beer Garden on May the 26th. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. Citizen comments. Got a lot of citizens.
Anybody else? Good evening. My name is Ray Davidson. I am pastor of First Southern Baptist Church in town here. I've just moved into St. John from Great Bend. I have been coming down every Wednesday or every weekend. I have talked with Mark. I am working with him to try to get Hot Summer Nights reinstituted. At your next meeting, we will have official dates that we would like to have approval to do that with. We've got some plans and some ideas. And I just wanted to introduce myself to you and let you know about it, that we are trying to work together and trying to get something going together for the youth. Second item that I would like to bring to your attention, and I cannot go into detail at this time because I do not have permission from the person that I'm going to talk about to go into detail, but I will say that I have just spent the last 2.5 hours with the new owner of the old Methodist Church, walking with that individual, looking at the building, and talking about possibilities that could be done with the building. That individual had, and I just want to make it clear, that individual has no intention of gutting the building and getting rid of things. That individual has a vision for how it can be used in the future for the benefit of St. John, and that's all I can say at this point in time, because I do not have that individual's permission to mention a name or to go into any more detail than that, but there is potential coming for that building.
Thank you. Okay.
Anybody else? Consent agenda. Approve regular council meeting April 4th, 2017. Appropriation ordinance 4/18/2017, $45,786.76.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
Aaron's here.
Aaron,
Yes,
I believe you're going to give us an audit report.
I am.
You want to come up here and sit down? You're welcome to it.
All right, thank you. There you go. When you get the audit report, there will be a couple loose letters at the front. We're going to start with those.
Thank you.
Some extras for those ones that are not here. Sorry about that. The first letter is the communication of significant deficiencies. Like in years past with all entities this size, we noted a lack of segregation of duties due to the small number of employees involved in the bookkeeping function. We just recommend, in order to mitigate this, to continue your guys' oversight of the financial reports and the bills, things of that nature, to help mitigate that lack of segregation of duties, okay? The second letter is the communication with those charged with governance. Items that could be in this letter would be any significant audit findings, any new accounting policies that went into place, if there was disagreements between us and management on how to handle accounting policy, if there was difficulties encountered in performing the audit, or if it came to our attention that you were in essence getting a second opinion from another auditing firm. We did not note anything like that. If there were any audit adjustments proposed by us and approved for posting by management, those would also be attached during the course of the audit. We did not come across any such misstatements. The last 5 pages is the client representation letter. This was a letter that was provided along with the draft financial statements. This is a letter addressed from you to us, just stating that you made available to us all the financial information that was requested during the audit, summaries of the minutes. You're not aware of any contingencies, things of that nature. Okay? All right. With that covered, we'll jump over to the audit report. If you'll turn to page 1 and 2, this is our opinion on the fund summary statement of regulatory basis receipts, expenditures, and unencumbered cash as of them for the year ended December 31st, 2016. Without going through all the wording, it first has to state that the financial statements are not prepared in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. That the City of St. John has passed that resolution to waive GAAP and conform to the regulatory basis accounting as promulgated by the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide. So then we go on to state that, in our opinion, the financial statement referred to above presents fairly, in all material respects, the aggregate cash and unencumbered cash balances of the City of St. John, Kansas, as of December 31st, 2016, and the aggregate receipts and expenditures for the year in accordance with the financial reporting provisions of the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide. Okay? All right, page 3 and 4, this is your summary statement of receipts, expenditures, and unencumbered cash. This is going to give you a broad overview of the financial activity for the year. The main thing to take note on this statement is the ending unencumbered cash balance. Statutes require that all funds end the year with either a positive or zero balance. There are certain instances where a fund can go in the red, but as you can see, all your funds ended the year with positive cash balances, so there were no cash violations during the year. And then on the bottom of the page 4 shows you where your funds are at between your checking accounts, your savings accounts, certificates of deposits, and so forth. All right, starting on page 5 are the notes to the financial statement. Note 1 is your summary of significant accounting policies. The first one, subsection A, is going to describe what is encompassed in this financial statement. Basically, the City of St. John, Kansas, and none of its related municipal entities are included. Okay. Subsection B are your regulatory basis fund types. This will kind of describe your general fund, your special purpose funds, bond and interest, and what can be accounted for in each of those funds. If you're curious about the differences between GAAP and the regulatory basis accounting, that's where subsection C goes into that. Other than that, then the rest of them are just kind of housekeeping on that note. Note 2 is your budgetary information. It kind of describes the deadlines for when that budget has to be done and approved. Now, with this new election requirement coming into place, I do not believe those dates will be the same. I think those will change a little bit. I don't know if LaDonna or Vicky has gone to the budget workshop.
We go Tuesday. or the
Tuesday?
25th.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to Salina tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have some better guidance on when that budget has to be done. But if you are going to have an election because you went over your property tax lid, my understanding is you have to let the county clerk know by June 15th. So that kind of shoots these dates out of the water right now. So, and if there were any budget amendments during the year, we would disclose which funds were amended during the year, but we didn't note any such amendments. Okay, page 7, note 3, compliance with Kansas statutes. Any statutory violations that came to our attention, those would be disclosed there. But as you can see, there were none. All right, page 8 and 9. This is your changes in long-term liabilities. The top half of the page shows the current year activity, any additions, reductions in payments, balance at the end of the year, and the amount of interest paid. As you can see, we paid off the Series 2001 bond in 2016, and we got a couple more years left on the 2003, and then it will be paid off. And then the bottom half of the page shows the maturity requirements for the next 5 years, and then 5-year increments after that. Okay, the rest of your notes I won't go over. They just kind of deal with your compensated absences, the defined benefit pension plan or CAPERS in that case, lease commitments, related party transactions, and so forth. So if you will turn to page 14 and 15, Schedule 1, Summary of Expenditures, Actual Budget. What this is going to do is compare expenditures against the authorized budget. So if you look at the variance under column, anything in parentheses is good. That means expenditures came in under budget. So like we said, there were no statutory violations, so we did not have any budget violations during the year. All right, the next several pages are your individual fund financial statements. What this is going to do is give you more detail of the revenue and expenditures by fund with comparisons to the prior year. And then on the current year, it is going to compare the current year actuals to the same amount budgeted and give you a variance over/under on those. As far as the general fund, operations were pretty much comparable to the year before. The one thing you'll notice on the reimbursements under the general fund, reimbursements were a little bit higher last year. That was due to an insurance claim from storm damage. And as far as the expenditures, if you'll turn to page, or 17, sorry, I thought we would need to flip a page, sorry about that. If you go into non-departmental, about the bottom third of the page, you'll see your grocery store expenditures. And then under the capital project other, the majority of that was the local share of the sidewalk project. Okay? Now, if you'll skip a few more, we're going to jump over to the water fund, water and light. It's on page 28. Of your business funds, this is the one that had the biggest decrease in this, or the only one that had a decrease in its cash balance, and that was due to the auto meter project. That was encumbered, so that is reflected in that $301,000 of capital outlay expenditures. Roughly about $256,000 for the auto meter. So that's being paid or may already be paid off, but under KMAG, once you've entered into a contract, that's when you've encumbered the money. So the full cost of that has been shown as an expenditure for 2016. Okay? All right. Your other business funds, like I said, they kind of operated like they had the year before, so I won't spend any time on that. If you'll turn to page 39, these are your agency funds. These are monies that are in the city's possession but do not belong to the city unless certain requirements have been met. The first one are your meter deposits, so these are the deposits people have paid up front to get onto your utility services. As long as they meet certain requirements, you will refund that deposit back to them. So until that happens, then it is considered an agency fund. And then the other ones are Section 125. Those are monies that you withheld from your employees' checks that then they turn in claims to get reimbursed for. Okay? All right. Then starting on page 40 are the graphs. We kind of like to provide these graphs to kind of give you some trend analysis so that you can kind of see how this year has compared to previous years. The first one shows your unencumbered cash balance for selected funds. We've given you your general fund, your major special purpose funds, and your business funds. This way you can see if the unencumbered cash has been increasing, roughly staying the same, or going down. And as you can see, for the most part, all of your cash balances have increased, other than for the water and light, like we said, for that project. Page 41 and 42 are your general fund revenue and expenditures by major function. Your first category is your taxes. That's going to be your ad valorem property tax, motor vehicle tax, 1620M, and so forth. As you see, we had a slight increase there. Intergovernmental, those are going to be your sales tax receipts from the state of Kansas. Your franchise fees, license fees and permits. Others is going to be your miscellaneous type things and those reimbursements, interest, and then operating transfers from your other funds. Okay, page 42 is just like that, but dealing with your expenditures by your departments. So you can kind of see what departments, where the major expenditures are coming from which departments, and if there have been any drastic increases or decreases in department. Again, the non-departmental, that's the one department that had the biggest increase, and again, that's due to the purchase of the building and that sidewalk project. Your next several graphs are your business funds. We provide these so that you can see if the revenues being brought in for that business is covering its operating expenses. This way that you guys can kind of look at it as for analysis of any potential rate increases or things of that nature. Again, with the water and light, the big difference in 2016 was the meter project.
Otherwise, is that about the same as?
Otherwise, it was about the same as
About
it
the
was
same
the year
as prior
before. If there are, the other thing that I do adjust out of this are the transfers to your reserve funds. If they're transfers to other funds, I include those as part of the operating cost. But if they're transfers to reserve funds, I back those out because those can then be spent on the same thing in those reserves. So don't include those, okay? All right, and then the last two graphs on page 46 and 47 comes off your budget. The first one shows you what your assessed valuation's done over the last 5 years. You guys have seen about a 21.88% increase in your valuation over the last 5 years. And then the bottom one, or page 47, is what you've done with the mill rate. It's dropped a little bit, but it's only been 11% increase. So even with the drop in that valuation, you've been, the revenues have been staying roughly about the same because of the additional increase in your assessed valuation. All right, I know that's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but does anybody have any questions or comments?
Do you look for that budget deadline to be delayed, or?
I think it's going to get pushed up. I think what you're going to be looking at is doing. My understanding was that that information that we get from the county treasurer and the county clerk was required to be to you by July 1st. I think now they're going to have it to you by June 1st. So, in my opinion, I think you're looking at having roughly a good rough draft of the budget done by late May. So as soon as we get that information by June 1st, we can plug that in. So that then you can tell by June 15th whether you're going to need to have an election or not, whether you're going to need to go over your property tax lid or not. That's just my opinion based off how I'm reading things. Again, at the budget workshop, I hope to have a better understanding of that tomorrow. So,
But you think if anything, it would be moved ahead?
I'm thinking, yeah. Normally we were kind of working on that in June. I think we're just pushing that up a month and looking at it this month in May. Really, where the kind of the drawback of that is in the middle column, the current year estimate. That's just one less month of activity that we have to try to figure out where we're going to be at by year end for cash carryover purposes to the year under budget.
Thank you. You guys got any other questions?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Department heads, grant administrator Lisa.
Sid and I went to the CDBG meeting, and I think, is he on the schedule for later?
No,
This might
but
be a good time for him to talk. I think I'll let Sid address that, and then I'll speak after him. Is that okay, Sid?
Sure. Tuesday, the CDBG had a workshop
Department of Commerce in Newton, and they went over was the public facilities, water, sewer, grant applications that they'll be receiving. Deadline for some of those are in September through November for some of them. And then their awards are made in January. Critical to that is that communities that apply need to meet low to moderate income thresholds, which is 51% of the community has to meet that. City of St. John does not meet that presently. The census has you around 45%. So if you were interested in pursuing a CDBG project, you would need to do a community-wide survey as part of the process. Similar to the sidewalk project, that was a targeted area, but for like a water plant or anything to do with the water system or sewer system, you would need to do a citywide survey. Previously, we had talked about what types of projects the city might have a need for, and we really never got into any specifics as to what would be the priority need in either the water department, sewer department, streets, public facilities. So at this point in time, I guess the decision forth would be, what is it, if the city has a need, would you see as a fit for that program if you want to pursue it? There was another caveat that kind of looked like it might be helpful, and that is what's called an economic development program that they have in connection with, say, your grocery store. So they would provide funds for a project of that nature that creates jobs, and they tie the number of jobs created to how much they would allow for it. If it's non-retail, they'll actually grant money, but if it's retail, they'll just loan money. And they would identify a grocery store as retail, so there would just be loan money available. What they would do is loan you, again, up to $35,000 for each job created that is committed to be created by whoever is going to put the business in. And then over 10 years, that money's paid back. But if they meet their commitment on the number of jobs they're going to create that are basically paying people that are in that low to middle intermediate income categories, then they'll forgive half the loan. So it's a long-term process that you could end up, if you do spend $400,000 on improvements, say, and improvements could be infrastructure improvements, then basically you would, whoever the business is, would be paying the loan back and only have to pay half of it back. There's a lot of red tape with that, and really didn't see that being a good fit, since it, again, was just a loan and not the grant. So it's still out there, and you can apply for that at any time, but I guess that was one of the things we talked about, what might be the best scenario for the city if they were interested in something.
They actually assess the business for that loan.
Right, that's
They
the
do a
business.
special assessment tax to the business. Like if we wanted to do the street, they'd be assessing the business. And so I wouldn't think that would be a very welcoming thing to do to a new business when we're trying to get them to town.
Right, it gets a street built or it gets water extended to them, sewer, but it's still a loan, and they still have to pay that back, even if it's 50% of it. So the only discussion I think that's left is whether or not there is any pressing need the city might see in their categories that do apply: water, sewer, community facilities. And again, community facilities could be sidewalks, could be streets, could be a community building, anything that is an eligible activity, park features and so on. But to be eligible, you'd have to do a survey. And that's something that Great Plains would assist the city with performing. But timeliness is such that a water or sewer project has to go through a kayak. So you actually have to have your preliminary engineering report completed by the end of June. The last kayak would be the second week in August, so you'd have to submit that and then get on the schedule for a community Kansas Interagency Committee meeting. So there is a time frame factor with that. You almost need to start immediately for a water sewer project. Community facility project, there isn't a need for that kayak, so there's more time you could take to think about that.
I spoke to Leslie with Great Plains. She said that they could do a survey of the whole town about in 90 days. That's what she said.
Right, so it really takes that 90 days before you even know if you can apply.
That's what she said. And she would recommend that they handle it because a lot of people don't like to do those surveys because you have to give out what you're making, like your earnings. So what she said is what they do is they would recommend having a community town hall meeting, have Leslie come and explain it to all the citizens how they do it. They sign a number to every citizen, so really the only people that know is Great Plains who that citizen is and how much that person's.
What does it cost to do?
I didn't ask her what the cost was, but I can
They
find
will
out.
typically do that. You just have to pay expenses.
Yeah,
The mailing.
the mailing of it and stuff. And then she also said that if it came down to going door to door, that they would come and actually do the door to door knocking on there because once again, people, it's a stranger and it's not someone from your hometown that's going to know how
But
much
they
you
just
pay.
need a certain
You just have to
percentage
do
of
51.
responses.
Yep, you just got to get 51%. Once you get 51%, then you can.
But you need to get that many responses as well, and then
Correct.
you have to meet the 51% LMI.
Correct.
And the other thing about if you decide to do that, and even if you do qualify and you decide, well, we want to do a sewer project, but we don't have time now to do it, that survey then is good until the next census, until the 2020
Right.
census comes out. So it gives you 7 or 8 years of, 6 years now,
Yeah.
of future applications that you wouldn't have to survey once you have one.
I'd be for just go ahead and getting started with the survey.
Yeah.
I mean, we may not get any water or sewer stuff,
Right.
but if it takes 90 days, at least we'll know whether we meet that threshold or not.
Right.
Before we start spending a lot of money on something that we aren't going to get a return on.
Any expenses is gonna, what, gas, fuel, mailing,
Mailing.
that type of expense is what they're talking about.
I believe Great Plains, if they're like some of these agencies, they are paid by the county, and they will service communities in the counties that fund them and provide these services to you. So that's really their payment. However, the direct cost would strictly be like the mailing and printing or whatever, the paper they need to do to follow up.
She wanted me to contact her tomorrow, so I can contact her tomorrow.
Do you need a motion for this consent?
This consensus.
Contact them.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just if there's something you consider prioritizing, consider for this program, it wouldn't hurt to have those thoughts kind of outlined.
Council, what are you thinking of it?
One of the things that Lisa had mentioned, if we're looking at enticement for a business coming into town, and you need some infrastructure for it, that could still be part of what the community facilities could finance. So we could finance some street improvements or something like that might take care of them. That could still be something you could look at this year, and this round if the survey comes positive.
I wonder about paving Fifth Street if we're sudden, you don't want all those old people going out on the 281. So if you pave Fifth and maybe the little road in front of the leisure. I was sitting out at CNA classes and they had the windows open and boy, that dirt blows in there into the facility. But I just thought that you wouldn't want a bunch of people tricking out onto 281.
Now, what typically would be necessary in something like that is part of the application you have to show project need and community need. So you have to research all the different needs of the community and then the needs of what your improvement might be, and kind of set them in a private. You really want to tell them you got all kinds of needs, because the more needs you have, the more you need their money. So you make that pitch to them, But you also take a look at, if you're going to do streets, you've got to look at all your streets and basically say the needs in the street department are such that they can't afford to do that. You'll need their money to do it. But you assess the whole street network of the community, identifying priorities, and a priority may be paving some streets. So that's how you would package a project like that for community improvements.
That's probably a $9-10 million project if you do 4th Street, 5th Street.
Was that 2 years ago, we 1st and 4th, and I think,
3.5 million.
Well, how many blocks are you talking?
well, basically a mile, 2 miles. From West Street to 281 's a mile.
I think you just coming to square off of 5th Street.
It was just
Well,
come
but
from-
I mean, I was talking when we were talking about 1st and 4th Street, it was $3.5 million to do that.
About a half mile on it.
Yeah,
Be
it's about a
about a half
half
mile,
for,
yeah.
for Fifth
Yeah,
Street.
probably what you would look at is identifying the need. Say it's 5th Street, and say it's a $2 million project, but you would phase it, and then you'd phase it into something like a $600,000 or $800,000 phase, and then you would still need 50-50 match for the improvement, where you could get 400,000 of their money and 400,000 match, and then the match could be a city funded match, or it could be special assessments. The only caveat to special assessments is you can't special assess someone who is LMI.
So 51% of your town can't be assessed because they've got to be 51% what, correct?
Well, if the whole town is, then it doesn't matter. But if you do a benefit district,
If you just service one area.
If you just service one area.
right, service
like
one
that
area and
over
try to do it by
West
special
Street.
assessment, then all of a sudden that special assessment is the only people benefited. You can always say it's an arterial street, so the city at large would pay half of it, and the benefit district might pay half. There's different ways you can work out a benefit district based
All
on
those
those.
that would work out, there ain't enough people that live on that street.
Yeah, exactly.
Too many people would have-
So you would look at it as the city at large,
The rest of it.
and then basically have the city at large pay.
They wouldn't,
It would help a
it
bit.
wouldn't help a bit.
But the benefit could be that paving that gets a story and such benefits. So just kind of think about if there's something that this year might be of any pressing need, something like that. If you apply, you wouldn't know until January if it was funded. If it was funded, it probably wouldn't be built until the end of 2018 or first part of 2019. It'd be 18 months as the time window that it has to be built in.
Council want to look at anything?
I mean, we won't really know until we get a survey done, right?
Right, you probably want to get a full month into your survey, see the first returns back and how it's looking, and then if it's looking promising, then you can start thinking about
Say
this
we
year.
ought to, I mean, if they get started on that survey the first of the month, or even yet this month, that maybe by our last council meeting next month, we'll have some type of input, maybe.
Well, and that'll be good too because they don't know that they're going to get funded. And so they said, what did they say? By June 20th, they would know whether they have their funding again, Sid?
April 28th is when the continuing resolution, if it
Will come through or not.
comes through Washington, then they'll know if they have a program.
And so they're just functioning like they are.
28th. That's when the federal government's supposed to run out of money, if they don't lift their cap. They have to do a continuing resolution, or this funding program goes away for 2018. Hasn't happened before, but you never know.
The other thing I had was that the preliminary drawings are being done by AGI for the grocery store. They're free, but they're including the healthy components that were needed for our grants. And I saw those today, and they're making changes in them. And then, do you want to talk about the tennis courts now, or you want to talk about that in old business?
You want to talk about it now?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I talked to Bill Norris about the tennis courts, and he said he didn't have a problem with Mark's Memorial being moved if we decide to close that court. His mom just loved tennis, and he said it doesn't matter to him. And so if you would choose to close that court and go with the school courts, if we just move the plaque, he'd appreciate it. Riggs Recreation put in a bid for the installation of a pro bounce court system at the city courts, and that'd be $98,000. You decrease $20,000 if we get the USTA grant, so it'd cost $78,000 to redo those. If you close those down and go to the school, the cheapest bid was from Pro Track and Tennis out of Bennington, Nebraska, and to repair the cracks, 5-year warranty, net and post replacement, it'd be $27,116. We could apply for the USTA grant. We get $10,000 max because it's a refinishing project. So that'd bring it down to 17, and then the school and city could split it. If you want to go with the USTA grant, it will take 3 to 5 months for a technical review, and then another 3 to 6 before the money comes out. And so Mr. Meyer and I visited, and he could go either way. If the city's going to pay for part of it and the school's going to pay for part of it, there's strings attached with the USTA grant, and so we could go with it or without it, as far as he was concerned.
What kind of strings?
You have to have USTA, you have to join USTA, and you have to have USTA events, and have tennis lessons and tennis programming through USTA in your courts for 3 years.
Who would do that?
The Recreation Commission. We talked to Ned.
Does the school have funding to do, just say, half of that full amount?
He originally said 10, but I said I'd come and see what the city would do. And I think we could get half. Of course, I don't want to speak for the school board. I'm an employee.
I would much rather, if we're going to put some money towards something, that's a lot cheaper than $100,000 to fix the one the city has. I don't know how much they're used or would be used. I know the school would use them.
I think if we had nice courts, they'd be used again. Right now, they're horrible to play on.
I don't play tennis, so I don't know.
Well, you listen to a lot of the students that play tennis there,
They don't like it.
They don't like it one bit. So.
Well, you
Well,
really
you can't
can't
even
play
have
on
tournaments, can you?
No,
You can't have anything.
here anymore.
That probably would be a boost for the program if we were to do something with that. You get a lot more students might be involved in it.
As long as we have the funding, I would be in favor of going more towards helping the school.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to foot $17,000 of it. I'd like to split it down the middle if we don't go with the grant.
Yeah.
And that would be something that I don't want to designate anybody to take on the responsibilities of what the grant, the strings that are attached with it. So, I don't know if there's someone that's willing to do that, or, whether we throw the grant out the window and just pay for it.
Is the $10,000 grant that you're talking about on it, is it a pretty well sure deal?
It's a pretty sure deal, as long as you follow the rules. It just takes the hoops to jump through.
I guess if we had someone that was willing to do everything for the grant, I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, that's my only concern, if we get someone to
Right.
follow through with the commitment of the grant. So.
And it'd probably be 18 that you'd get them fixed instead of sooner.
Right.
You're looking at about $8,500 to our part if you split it with the school. Just
Right.
rough ballpark figure.
Which is a whole lot less than
Yeah.
Yeah.
78,000.
But if you go, I mean, and if you choose not to go with the grant, then it's split 27,116. So it'd be
About
13,500.
13,500.
What is the deadline for the grant? Is there,
No, there's not a deadline. It's just on. It's rolling. I've already got our pre-application in.
Right.
Is that grant something for the city, or is that the school
It's-
district? City?
It can go either way.
Okay. I would think we'd
Yeah.
go with the grant.
Concrete's just crumbled up at the city tennis courts. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's why they laid the carpet over it, was because it was cracked to begin with. So you're gonna have to tear up all that cement and re-pour it, and I'm sure that's why the bid is so high. That's why they laid the carpet over it in the first place.
I don't know whether, I mean, with fulfilling some of the strings on the, for a tennis teacher, or anything, I don't know if Rebecca Luckner would be interested in doing something like that. We might want to find out from her. Yeah, let's see.
I mean, I would, and I guess, do you want to approach it, or have Mr. Meyer approach the school board about paying for half of it, one way or the other?
Yeah, I'll have it do that.
I mean, that would be the, I guess, the starting point.
What was going to be the expense of moving the memorial, Lisa? Did you?
It's just a little plat.
Oh, it's
It's
something.
just a cement plat.
And is the school all right if we move that? Do they want that at the tennis court? Then
Yeah.
is the school all right with
They're
that?
fine with that.
I mean,
I wonder how much it'd cost to, make the tennis court smaller at the city. And, I mean, do we have good concrete, guys? We'd be the city now.
well,
You know what I mean?
but I don't.
How much would concrete cost for, split that in half?
I don't know. But it wouldn't do any good to fix one and not the other.
I think you'd get more benefit out of the one at the school than you would out in the north.
Yeah. What do you do? Just tear up the concrete up there and make it a parking lot?
Oh, that would be nice. Just saying, I just
But
can't.
you could
think
just,
I'm just-
yeah, I mean, you could
Yeah.
theoretically take down all the fencing and make it parking.
Right.
Or you could even, I don't know, if they need more basketball goals up there, you could just pull the carpet off and put more basketball goals up there. I don't know.
It's just crumbled underneath. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to do something to the.
So a parking lot would probably be a better idea on that, I would think, but it's up to the council what we'd like to do. I mean, any other suggestions we get?
You've got your skateboard park right there too.
Right.
You know, on the other side of
I'm trying, does that stuff get used much, Ryan?
it. I see
The basketball
people over
court
there.
gets used all the time. I mean,
Do you see
all hours
people
of
on
the
the?
day.
I've seen people down on that skateboard thing.
Yeah.
I never thought it was used, but I've seen
there
several
is
kids
quite a
down
few,
there.
but even nights in the wintertime, there's kids up there playing basketball till 10 o'clock at night. It's a good thing for the kids.
Right.
Get out and go somewhere, another tennis court, it gets used some.
I mean, we could always leave it there too. Let them use it as is if they want to use it.
Wait and see if we get the others to go from there.
They
Yeah.
played soccer on it too, just let you guys know.
A little rough, I think, but
Well, we had a, because Nick couldn't find his soccer goals, and so he drove around town, and somebody had moved them and put them over on the tennis court.
It wasn't me.
It was you, wasn't it? Ryan?
Anything else for Lisa? Lisa, you got anything else? Okay.
Let me just do the rest of them.
Well,
Let me just do the rest of them.
we can if
Okay,
you want.
so Adam couldn't be here because Olive had a treatment done. So he wanted me to present his report for him. So in your guys' packet, you guys should have the updated police policy, which is adding the rank of master patrolman. So I'm gonna need you guys to approve that. And then also I'm gonna need you guys to approve the promotion of Charlie Brown to master patrolman. And then Adam was inquiring to see if you wanted to do a pay raise with that promotion. When you guys promoted Aaron, you gave him $1 raise. So Adam was kind of looking at, okay, if we could do at least like 50 cents. He's getting a higher position. And
You can talk about that in executive session.
And if you wanted to go to executive session, we could talk
What was the title that we're?
about it. Master Patrolman.
2 words.
Master and Patrolman's 2 words, yes. The Patrolman's one.
You want to go into executive session? If you do, I'll need a motion.
The motion would be to amend the agenda also.
Do we need to go into executive session?
It don't matter to me either.
So if you don't want to talk about it, you're supposed to make a motion.
I just need someone to make a motion. If you guys
So
don't
moved.
Second then.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? All
Hold on,
opposed?
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
So are you gonna do it to
Oh, yeah.
add, correct
I wanna know
the
what
police
we're making.
policy?
Yeah, that we.
And to
gotta
promote
jump
Charlie,
ahead
and to give him a raise
Right.
of
50
50
cents.
cents.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm fine.
perfect, that's how I wrote it. So.
Yeah, quite a
Now we
bit.
can vote on it if
Yeah,
you
you
want
can
to.
Yeah, there we go, Bob.
All opposed? Passes 4-0.
Okay, that's all Adam had. Okay. So,
Executive session?
no, we're not going into executive session.
Okay.
No discussion.
There was no discussion. Okay, so underneath me, I wanted to give you guys an update that Jamie Getty did accept for the position of city clerk. She is going to start April 24th, which is this Monday. The plan for her training is that she's going to start with Pam, and she's going to learn everything about Pam's job, and she's going to go learn everything about Vicky's job, and then she'll come here. But she'll still come to meetings and stuff and kind of do that. I think this will also allow Vicky to learn some of Pam's job. So then there'll be some more cross-training done because they don't have that. And then Pam can learn some of Vicky's. I did talk with Pam some more, and she has taken me up on her on my offer to hold her job for a month while she goes and sees her dad. And so she's going to leave. Right now it's planned for her to leave June 4th, and then she will be back July 4th. So that's been taken care of. One thing that Jamie did talk to me about was, I guess, over with Kim. Kim was her sponsor with a state program that was helping her pay off her student loans. She's going to get me some more information on that. She wanted to know if the city would be willing to become her sponsor, which means you guys would pay for part of her student loan. I think last year she said Kim paid $1,200. But I told her I needed exact figures and everything and how much. She said really it's only one more year and then her student loan would be paid off. But it's some state program.
It's the rural opportunities.
Yeah. And Lisa may be able to know more. I don't know.
Usually, places that do that, if her salary is $10,000, they pay her $8,800, and then they pay the loans. I mean, you can just take whatever you're paying her. You can take $1,200 off her salary and pay that towards her loans,
Right.
instead of making it a benefit for
Right.
the new employee.
So she was just bringing it out to see and stuff. I told her to get me some more information on it, and that we could talk about it next, because next month she'll actually be here and stuff, and then you guys can kind of talk about it and stuff with that. The other thing I had is last year we had Miranda come and help as seasonal help through the summer. She has said that she would like to do that again this year. She is an awesome employee. But I would like to, last year she was at $825, but this year I would like to pay her $875 for the summer. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you.
Got a motion on the table?
Second.
And a second? Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
Okay. So last thing on underneath me is in your packet you guys would have had a citizen complaint that was brought to our attention on 108 West First, which that is Turtle Creek building those blinds. And I guess the way I understand it is he is blowing fiberglass, and he didn't shut his windows or anything, and the fiberglass fumes are going over to the person's house, and she's claiming that it's making her sick, and she's worried about her kids because they're out there. Now, I know Jeff went to talk to Richard about how he needs to shut everything down, and if he has filters, to blow it through the filters. The other problem that you're running in with 108 West First is that it is not zoned for manufacturing. And so before I took the next step and sent it over to John, and we wanted to go there, I was going to make sure that we were all on board, that that's where we wanted to go.
It wasn't, but just to clarify, it was in a building that was previously used for
Selling plumbing,
hosts.
retail plumbing, which that is zoned correctly. You can sell stuff out of there. You just can't manufacture. To manufacture, it has to be
You
zoned.
can't manufacture anything in the city of St. John.
You have to get, yeah.
We have a industrial park out here that you can't even manufacture anything in the city of St. John.
Correct. So if the other side of it is a good business. He is trying to make money, and totally get that. It's just that if you let this lapse, I am sure I'm going to have other people in here because we made them rezone or go to a different zone.
Then I say we zone it industrial and be done with it.
I don't think that's going to fly because it is surrounded by houses.
And the people living to the south of it don't even complain about it. I have spoke with Richard and I've looked at his filtration system. He is
I agree.
got it in place, and he is willing to update it to try and help with the smell.
I agree, but he has to shut the doors. He's not shutting anything when he's blowing that fiberglass.
Here's what you don't understand. The whole place that they blow that fiberglass is completely enclosed when they're doing it. And they have a system in there that takes all of that and filters it and puts it at the top of the building.
Yes, but he's not using it. He has his garage door open,
No,
and they're blowing the fiberglass.
In order to get the air out, they have to open the doors to let fresh air
To let
in.
fresh air in. You
Yeah,
can't-
but that smell's still going over there.
I think what she's smelling is what's coming out after the filtration.
Okay, but it's still not zoned correctly.
Yeah, he can go through that process, and that's not something you guys do, that's your zoning board.
The zoning board would have to
That's
say
why it's
yes.
set up like that. That's why it's so difficult to get rid of it.
I visited with Richard before this ever started, explaining this to him. And his comment was, you won't be able to smell or anything coming from it.
I'm sure it's not the only business in St. John that has a smell to it.
I'm sure you're right. I'm not arguing, I'm just making a point.
The other thing you need to realize is that he put up a shed over there, a carport, and did not get a zoning permit for that. So, I mean, I don't care which direction you guys want us to go. I mean, I am just presenting you all the facts that are there.
I think you allow the zoning administrator to kind of take the lead on this stuff. It's set up that way for that purpose. I just did not spend any time to deal with it because after she told me, she kind of said, Jeff went and talked to him.
Jeff went to
Don't do
talk to
anything
him.
just yet, so I've not even.
And then Jeff said, well, let's bring it to council. I said, okay, I will bring it to council.
The other thing is, if there are problems with the area homeowners, they have their own course of action. I mean, they could pursue something civilly if they want to.
Just leave it in the hands of the zoning commission. Let them bring it to us, let them do
Who
the
is the
decision.
zoning administrator? Jeff?
Be Jeff would have, he would at least have to try to get it zoned industrial. I mean, that would be the first step,
That would give those in the area the
opportunity to speak and voice their
And if
opinion.
there's not opposition, then there's not opposition.
Then he's okay and you can zone it. No. but I would at least make him come in here and at least attempt to zone it.
Might have a personal investigation school opening up an apartment complex like the Golden Nugget or whatever. It's supposed to be. The last time we had a zoning issue.
No, that's all I had underneath me. Do you want me to jump to the next one? Okay, so Jeff isn't here either, so he asked me to present his. I need you to open up the sealed bid. For the sheep grazing on the.
So we have one.
Just one.
One's all we got here. That I know of. It is from Steve Frank. Sewer pond pasture lease, $413.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the table. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. Steve Frank gets the pasture. That's a yearly lease.
Yes, sir. Okay, so next in there in your packet, you guys would have had the annual maintenance agreement for the water treatment plant from Haddock. How do you pronounce it? For $2,434. I need a motion so we can renew that.
Which was that again?
$2,434.
Thank you.
You making a motion, Mark?
Yes.
Got a motion on the
Second.
table? Marshall's going to second it. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
Okay. Next on there in your packet, you guys would have had Clark Well and Equipment bid for fixing the piping to well number 5, which was one of the things Ned Marks was talking about that needed to get replaced. That bid is $3,735.
Minus tax. We have to pay tax on that, correct?
Correct.
If I read that right when I
Correct.
read through everything.
Yep.
So there'll be sales tax on
There'll be
that.
sales tax on that too.
Is this the only bid that he got? Is Clark
So
Wells?
far.
I think Clark Well's the one that's done all the.
I think that's the one that's
the
done
one that's
everything.
Done everything and has all the records for the city on all of the wells.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're absolutely right.
I think it's probably wise just to leave it with them.
I agree.
Is that, are you making a motion to accept the bid?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's something that needs fixed.
Yeah, it needs fixed.
Yeah, I'd make
They
a
do
motion.
like that, they do deal with all the other ones.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to accept the bid from Clark Well for $3,735 plus tax.
So,
Got a motion on the table? Got a second? Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
That's it, I'm done.
Okay. John,
The only thing I've got to report is that house on 4th Street, the homeowners contacted me, or the daughter contacted me last week, and then today we received an email. They're going to go ahead and give the city permission to access that property. I drafted an order for them to sign, which once they sign, or the judge signs, will give the city permission to inspect the property. Saves us having to do a hearing and all that stuff. So I expect in the next couple of days that Chelsea could access that property.
is that the property down here on First
Yeah.
Street?
Yeah, the one
Between Jill
Yeah.
and
You
Hannah.
Yeah, I spoke with Chelsea. She's going to wait for Jeff to get back on Friday. Jeff will be
Yeah,
back on
let's get
Friday.
the order. I mean, I got it by email. I talked to the girl. I've not heard any. That's my understanding. The parents don't speak very good English, but they can still sign a piece of paper, and it's We just want to make sure it's okay with courts.
But yeah, she said she's on board whenever we wanted her to go look and see.
Any other questions for John this evening? Okay, we've covered the tennis courts with Lisa. 101 East 5th Avenue, Marshall, I think that's your deal?
Yep. I was approached after we had sent them the letter on the old Methodist church. They both come and spoke with me for about an hour and a half. Day did I call you last Thursday?
I think so.
They do have intentions of trying to do something with the Methodist church. They don't plan on tearing it down, gutting it out, leaving it as a shell and letting it go back to a tax auction. I kind of told them, I said we've fought that problem with that building for a long time now. They are going to start making progress on it. They want to clean it out. I told them, because in the letter it said that they couldn't remove anything. They were taking it as, they couldn't even take trash out of it.
Yeah, no, they just can't take anything
Right.
of value.
And I told them, I said, as long as the city sees, as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're making progress on it, they're maintaining it, they're putting windows in it, I don't have a problem with them trying to go in and fix it up. I said, I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I said, as far as I'm concerned, if you're making progress, I'm fine with that. I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I told them that I would report back to them. We'd discuss it. I did ask them to at least get, like, on the south side, the lower level, there's some busted glass laying there, and there's, for them to get that stuff cleaned up and fixed.
It's already been done.
It has. I drove by.
I was just there and we walked it, and so yeah. I just wanted you to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she did tell me that their main priority was getting the place sealed up so nobody could get in and, no animals or anything like that. And they're actually in the process of trying to find some help to haul the trash out of there and start cleaning on it. So I don't know how the rest of you feel. I told them that I would bring it to you guys and I would report back to them. Like I said, I told them as long as there was progress and, it didn't really look bad, if they wanted to fix it up and use it for something, power to them.
I agree. I think that as long as they're making progress on that, then that's fine. I mean, anything that will help improve that building and the looks of it is good.
Didn't Bob say that there was like a camera system in that building? You could see us putting up boards or windows and stuff.
There's
It's
no,
still there.
there's no power in the building. Yeah, but I mean, if that's, and I don't know, they didn't know about the letter, whether they needed to respond.
No, they don't have to respond. You guys
I
direct me
told them,
what
I
to
said,
do.
I'll bring it up and.
My concern was only being burned again like the city was.
Correct.
I don't know why that guy didn't just attempt to sell it. I mean, he could have gotten money for it.
I don't know, but I mean, if you guys are fine with that, I'll speak to them again.
That's
As
fine.
long as they get it closed up.
And I think they've already tried putting something back in over some of the windows, even up high. So, and they told me that was their biggest priority, and they did have contractors coming in to look at to get some of the stuff taken care of. So, other than that, I don't really have anything else on it. I told them we'd try to work with them the best we could as long as progress was being made.
Right. Anything that, like I said, anything that will help improve that building and secure it, make it safe. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just call them and talk to them tomorrow, the next day.
Anything else? Anything on new business we need to talk about? I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
What's an executive session? Got a motion and a second? All in favor? All opposed?